Beloved soul, welcome into this sacred and chosen moment. You did not stumble upon these words by coincidence, and this message did not find you without divine purpose. Heaven itself has directed your path here because the angels have something urgent and deeply personal to place inside your spirit. There is someone in your life, perhaps someone who once stood very close to you, who carries a love for you so powerful it has become almost too heavy for them to hold. Yet they have made a deliberate choice to step back. They have placed distance between you, not because their heart has grown cold, but because their heart burns too strongly, and they do not yet know how to carry that kind of fire without being consumed by it. Before your thoughts begin to race and before confusion tries to fill the space where peace should live, I want you to pause right now. Breathe slowly and deeply. Allow your spirit to settle, because what is being spoken to you in this moment is not ordinary. This message, this timing, and this divine intersection of your life and these words are not random. Heaven does not waste moments. God does not send messengers without purpose, and the angels do not whisper unless the soul that needs to hear is ready to receive. Before we go any further, I want you to take a step of faith right now. Write in the comments, "I believe in God," or "I trust God's plan." This is not merely a comment. It is a declaration of faith that opens your heart to receive the full truth of what heaven is about to reveal. When you speak words of faith, even through a small act like this, your spirit aligns with divine wisdom and becomes sensitive to the voice of heaven. Faith is never passive. It is always activated through declaration and obedience. And if this is your first time here, welcome to Angel's Whisper. This is a sacred space created for divine messages, prophetic insight, and heavenly truth. Every word shared in this place is meant to guide you closer to God's purpose and protect your heart from confusion and deception. I invite you to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you never miss a message that heaven has prepared for your season. Beloved, the angels are speaking clearly now. There is a soul connected to your life who loves you with a depth that surprises even themselves. Their feelings are genuine, sincere, and rooted in something they cannot simply reason their way out of or walk away from without tremendous inner pain. When they think of you, and they think of you often, something stirs inside their spirit that no distraction or distance has been able to quiet. You occupy a place in their inner world that is not casual or surface level. You reach something deep inside them, something they had protected for years behind carefully constructed emotional walls. Yet instead of moving toward you, they have chosen to remain distant. And heaven wants you to understand this clearly before pain or confusion causes you to misread what is truly happening in the spiritual dimension of this connection. Proverbs 25 tells us that the purposes of a person's heart are deep waters, but one who has insight draws them out. What looks like silence from the outside is actually a storm raging beneath the surface of their soul. Their distance is not emptiness. It is fullness that has not yet found its courage. Write this in the comments as a declaration of spiritual discernment. I will see beyond the surface. This declaration opens your eyes to what God is revealing beneath what is visible and protects you from drawing wrong conclusions about what their silence truly means. Beloved, you must understand what you awoke inside this person. You were never part of their careful plans. You arrived unexpectedly and shifted their entire internal world in ways they are still attempting to understand and process. Before you entered their life, they had grown comfortable inside their emotional walls. They had learned to function without vulnerability, to survive without truly opening, and to move through life without allowing anyone deep enough to touch what was real. Then you came, and without even trying, you reached past every barrier they had built. You spoke to a part of their soul they had never shown another human being. You made them feel something they were not prepared to feel, something rare and genuine and overwhelming. As the ancient wisdom of Proverbs 13:12 reminds us, hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a longing fulfilled is a tree of life. What they feel for you has become both a deep longing and a source of fear. You represent to them the very thing they have always hoped for but never truly believed they deserved to receive. And that is precisely why they pull away. Not because the love is not real, but because it is more real than anything they have known, and they do not yet know how to live inside something that real without falling completely apart. Declare this in the comments as a word of spiritual wisdom. True love reveals what fear tries to hide. Let this truth anchor your understanding as heaven continues to open the full picture of what is happening in this connection. Beloved, the angels want you to hear this next truth with great care. The distance this person has placed between you is not a verdict about your worth. It is a confession about their wounds. They carry deep within them old injuries from seasons of life that taught them that love leads to loss, that openness leads to pain, and that being truly seen by another person means giving them the power to devastate you. These are not lessons they chose to learn. They were written into their spirit by experiences that left marks long before you ever arrived. Romans 8:28 assures us that God works all things together for good for those who love Him and are called according to His purpose. Even the painful patterns this person carries were not wasted in God's design. They are being used by heaven to bring this soul to a place of true reckoning, a moment where the old way of surviving through silence and distance can no longer hold against the weight of what they feel for you. God is doing a deep work in them, even now in the quiet of their retreat. Write this in the comments as your declaration of trust. God is working even in the silence. This act of faith keeps your spirit from despair while heaven is active in ways you cannot yet see. Beloved, let the angels now describe what this person truly experiences when the world grows quiet around them. When the noise of daily life fades and they are left alone with their own thoughts, you are what fills the space. They replay conversations you have had. They hear your voice in their memory with a clarity that startles them. They recall the way your presence made them feel safe in a manner they had never permitted themselves to feel before. They remember small moments that probably seemed insignificant to the world, but were landmarks to their heart. And in those private moments of remembering, they ache with a longing that no amount of distance has been able to reduce. They have reached for their phone with your name on their lips more times than you know. They have written messages they never sent. They have started conversations in their mind they never found the courage to begin. They have looked at your name in silence, willing themselves to act, only to be pulled back by the familiar voice of fear that whispers, "What if it is already too late? What if you have moved forward without them? What if the door is already closed?" And even while that fear speaks, they cannot stop hoping that somewhere in your spirit you still feel what they feel, that the bond between you is not something only they carry. Jeremiah 29:11 declares, "For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Beloved, even the confusion and longing in this connection exist inside the knowledge of a God who sees both of you clearly and holds both of your futures with perfect intention. You are not forgotten. This situation is not outside His awareness. Heaven is orchestrating things even now in the midst of what feels uncertain. Type this in the comments with faith. God holds my future and my connections in His hands. Let this truth silence the anxiety that tries to convince you that you are alone in this waiting. Beloved, the angels also want to speak directly to the question that lives quietly in your heart. They want you to understand why someone who truly loves another person would choose distance over closeness, silence over truth, and separation over the very thing their soul longs for. The answer is fear, but not ordinary fear. This is the kind of deep, layered, soul-level fear that was not born overnight. It was built across years of learning that love is not safe, that vulnerability leads to devastation, and that depending on another person is the fastest path to becoming undone. They love you deeply enough to be genuinely terrified of what that love means. To them, loving you fully means risking everything. It means standing before you completely uncovered with no walls, no defenses, and no place to hide. And the thought of being that open with anyone, especially with someone who matters this much, shakes them at their foundation. Loving you is not something they can do halfway. That is the real reason they step back. Because they know that with you, it would be all or nothing. And they are not yet sure they are strong enough to give all without losing themselves completely in the process. 1 John 4:18 reminds us that perfect love casts out fear. But beloved, that perfecting of love is a process. It requires both time and the transforming work of God in a human spirit. This person is inside that process right now. They are being worked on by heaven even in their retreat. The very pain of their distance is teaching them something that comfort never could. That running from love does not protect the heart, it wounds it. That silence does not preserve what is precious, it slowly starves it. And that the greatest risk is not in choosing love, but in choosing fear when love is right before you. Write this boldly in the comments. I will not mistake fear for absence of love. This declaration protects your heart from misreading their silence as indifference when it is actually the shadow of something very deep. Beloved, the angels are now revealing what is happening inside this person during this season of distance. They are not simply standing still. They are moving, but the movement is inward. They are facing themselves in ways they have never been forced to before. The absence of you in their daily life has removed the one presence that made their own imperfections feel acceptable. Without you there to reflect warmth back at them, they are standing directly in the light of their own truth. And what they see both humbles them and causes them grief. They are beginning to understand that what they once called strength, keeping people at a safe distance, refusing to need anyone, shutting down emotion before it could take root, was never truly strength at all. It was a survival strategy built on the belief that they were not worthy of something whole and real. But you disrupted that belief. Your presence alone challenged the story they had been telling themselves about who they are and what they deserve. And now, in your absence, that challenge has not gone quiet. It has grown louder, because every hollow day without you confirms what their spirit already knows, that what they walked away from was not ordinary, that you are not someone who can be replaced or forgotten or simply waited out until the feeling passes. Isaiah 43:19 declares, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." God is making a way in this person even now. He is creating rivers of honesty in the dry, walled-off places of their spirit. He is opening pathways of courage where fear has long built its blockades. What looks like stillness from where you stand is actually the deepest kind of transformation happening beneath the surface of their life. Declare this in the comments as your act of spiritual agreement. God is making a new thing in what I cannot see. This declaration aligns your faith with what heaven is actively doing, even in the unseen places of this connection. Beloved, hear what the angels are urging you to understand about your own position in all of this. You are not called to chase. You are not called to reduce yourself or compete for attention or beg for clarity that should flow naturally from a heart that has truly chosen you. You're not a backup plan or a second thought or someone to be kept on the edges of another person's life while they wrestle with their fears. You are a covenant soul. You were created with intention and seen by heaven with full knowledge of your worth. And what God has written over your life is not confusion or half-hearted love or endless waiting in silence. Proverbs 31:10 tells us that a person of noble character is worth far more than rubies. That is what you are. That is the measure of your value before heaven, and the love that God is preparing and preserving for your life will reflect that value. It will not ask you to shrink. It will not keep you guessing. It will not make you question your worth or your place. It will honor you fully, choose you openly, and pursue you with the kind of steady intentionality that removes all doubt. Write this powerfully in the comments. I will not reduce myself for someone who has not yet chosen me. Let this declaration seal your dignity and guard your heart from accepting less than what heaven has ordained for your life. Beloved, the angels also want to address something that lives quietly beneath the surface of this kind of waiting. It is the fear of being alone. Sometimes people hold on to hope in a connection not only because they believe in what was shared, but because the silence of waiting feels unbearable. And in that silence, a voice begins to whisper lies. It says, "What if no one else ever comes? What if this is as close to love as you will ever get? What if letting go means being alone forever?" Beloved, those words are not from heaven. They are deceptions designed to keep you desperate, lowered, and settled in something God never intended for you. Zephaniah 3:17 declares, "The Lord your God is with you, the mighty warrior who saves. He will take great delight in you. In his love, he will no longer rebuke you, but will rejoice over you with singing." You are never truly alone when the God of the universe rejoices over you. You are never without love when the Creator of all love holds your heart in his hands. You are never abandoned when heaven itself is actively writing your story with grace and perfect timing. Type this in the comments with full assurance. I am never alone because God is with me. Let this truth become louder than every fear that silence and uncertainty have tried to plant in your spirit. Beloved, the angels want to speak now about the movement that is already taking place within this person. Because this is not a story of permanent distance. This is a story of a soul in the middle of its most significant transformation. Every day they choose fear is a day that adds weight to the truth they are working to avoid. Every morning without you brings with it a quiet reminder that what they gave up was not ordinary. Every night of pretending that distance brings them peace is a night that proves the opposite. The burden of their silence is becoming heavier than the vulnerability they have been running from. And that shift is the beginning of return. They are slowly, sometimes painfully, learning the lesson that Ecclesiastes 3 speaks about so honestly, that there is a time for every season under heaven, a time to hold on and a time to release, a time for silence and a time for speaking, a time for distance and a time for return. And the season inside them is changing. The walls they built are not falling quickly or dramatically, but they are softening. The fear that drove their retreat is still present, but it is losing its grip, because something deeper and more permanent than fear has been refusing to be quiet, and that something is the love they carry for you. Declare this in the comments with hopeful faith. I trust God's timing in this season. Let this declaration keep your spirit anchored in peace, while heaven brings what belongs to you into its appointed alignment. Beloved, as this message draws toward its closing, the angels want to leave you with these final and powerful truths. First, God sees this connection fully. Nothing about it is hidden from His sight. He sees the love this person carries. He sees the fear that binds them. He sees the growth that is happening even now in the quiet. And He sees you, your faithfulness, your patience, your hope, and the quiet prayers you have lifted in private moments when no one else was watching. He has not missed a single one. Psalm 34:18 assures us that the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Second, what is truly yours cannot be permanently taken or lost. If this soul belongs to your story by divine design, then the same God who created the connection is fully capable of restoring it, completing it, and bringing it into the fullness it was always meant to carry. No amount of fear or distance or delay can permanently separate what God has joined in purpose. And if this connection is not the one heaven has written for your covenant future, then God Himself will make that clear with enough gentleness and enough grace to protect your heart and redirect your steps toward the love that is truly yours, without confusion or competition. Write this in the comments as your final declaration of surrender. I trust God completely with my heart and my future. This is the highest act of faith. It releases control from your hands and places it into the hands of the one who holds all things with perfect wisdom and love. Beloved soul, if this message has spoken directly into the place inside you that needed to hear it, take a moment to like this message so that other hearts walking this same path can receive it as well. And if you are not yet connected with this community, subscribe to Angel's Whisper so that every message heaven places here will find its way to you in the exact season you need it. Let us seal everything spoken here with one final declaration of faith. Type this boldly in the comments right now. Blessed, trusting, and ready. Because you are blessed by the God who sees you. You are trusting in the plan that surpasses your own understanding. And you are ready for the love that heaven has already written and is even now, in this very moment, moving toward you.